Boys, welcome back again. So it's been a couple of days since the legendary Camp Dog came off the dyno after making a whopping 406 horsepower on 30 pounds of boost. It's still in one piece, it's still going well. Now I'm not complaining about the horsepower numbers at all, but considering all of our previous builds have had pretty low numbers, which we blame on the climate where we live, we're up in Darwin in the Northern Territory and the average temperatures up here are anywhere between 32 to 36 degrees at like 98% humidity. So it is hot as shit. And the Camp Dog still managed to pull 406 horsepower in those conditions. So I reckon down south, maybe in Victoria, down in Melbourne or over in Sydney, something like this, we're probably already at mid 450 horsepower now on the same boost, which is absolutely incredible given that most of you guys already know what's inside this engine and probably shouldn't have made those horsepower numbers with what we have inside there. Now I've been on the phone with Nick and he's still in disbelief about how much power it makes. Because I'm always messing with Nick and playing jokes on him, he thinks that I've skewed the numbers or I've done something to trick him. But that is dead set, 406 horsepower, that's exactly what it made. So now we're thinking, how can we get her up to 500 horsepower? Now as I've mentioned, we got roll racing on next weekend. So gonna take the Camp Dog down there and go give it a bit of a hiding. If we watch some of the old roll racing videos back when we had 22 PSI in the stock cams, you can clearly see the car doesn't go as fast and it sounds nowhere near as mental as it does now. I mean, even check that out. When we hit the nitrous, it doesn't even really get up and go, whereas now with no nitrous, it just bakes the tyres and it just has a spaz down the road. Now, if the Camp Dog manages to make it through the roll racing, Nick has already said we are going back to the dyno in the dry season when it's a little bit cooler, which will probably be June or July. All the boost we can possibly get. For some reason, he's already got 40 PSI in his head, but he wants, whatever, 40 PSI. We've still got all the nitrous and everything there to turn on. We are certain the Camp Dog can make 500 horsepower. Now I've seen in a few previous videos, guys are talking about the stock main caps breaking and the stock main bolts breaking. We don't have ARP bolts in the bottom end of this. They are just factory main caps. What sort of horsepower do you guys have problems with? I mean, it would be pretty spectacular if we made the 500 horsepower and the crank comes flying out the bottom of the engine. Well, we don't want that, but by the sounds of the experience of the people that watch these videos and people that have had these problems, we're probably right on the edge now of actually doing some serious damage. So, yeah, apart from the crank braking, what else have you guys seen that could potentially fail on this car? So we got the crank braking, possibly braking. We have the max speeding rods in there, so you know, potentially they could break even though it says they have the ARP bolts in there. We've got the ARP head studs holding the head down, so the head sealing should be pretty sweet. I don't know, maybe we're just panicking at this point. We might not have any problems, I don't know, but yeah, we think we're just over worrying a little bit at the moment. So one thing that's important with racing is we need grip. Now the tyres Nick has on this, they're a 175 65 14, and as you saw in the videos, it just bakes the tyres. So while Nick's been away, he's been trying to track down some tyres, and the ones he's found, they're a semi-slick, and they're a 235. I think they're a 60 sidewall high, but they're to suit a 15-inch rim. But having more grip is also a bit of a trade-off because we still have the stock CV shafts in this. If we're starting to get some serious grip and we're trying to put this 400 horsepower to the ground, it's probably only a matter of time before we start breaking things in the driveline, i.e. the gearbox. Notorious for those third gear, up around sort of 350 horsepower mark, or we could end up breaking one of these CVs. Now I also want to get some feedback on the turbo that we're using. So as most of you already know, this is a G3770 with a 0.86 rear housing. What sort of boost have you run these up to? I mean, I know they're rated to 770 horsepower, but that all sort of depends on rear housing size, engine size, and things like that. We are on 30 pounds of boost. We are unsure of what the rear housing back pressures are at the moment. But if you have one of these turbos, how high have you gone with this and how much power do you think we're going to make before we start running out of puff here? So something else I want to talk about is we always run these half-size radiators in our Starlet builds, and these are just a Honda Civic radiator. You can buy them straight off eBay for about $100 with a fan. Now I run the same fan in the blue Starlet, and when we're looking back on some of our data logs and stuff, the temperature out driving around the track, we're sitting at sort of 95 to 98 degrees, and little red lights flashing on there, and I'm panicking thinking the car's overheating. You know, maybe done a head gasket or something, but that's just the way it has been all the time. So I'm always cautious on that. When we were running Nick's car up in the dyno, the temperature actually was at 104 to 108 degrees, and as soon as you stop the dyno pull, the temperature would come down to about sort of 98 degrees. The little red light on the screen was flashing, you know, say it's overheating, and it would drop back down again. We'd go and do another pull, it would go up to, you know, 104 to 108 degrees again, and as soon as we come off the dyno pull, she'd come back down. So it's pretty safe to say that these engines are pretty happy sitting at around the 100 degree mark, so don't panic if yours is around that area, it's all good. Well boys, I'm going to finish it up there, but overall we're very, very happy with the way the camp dog went. It all stayed together in one piece and made the power that we were hoping for. And it's clear now that making 400 horsepower would not have been possible without the custom camshafts and the aftermarket valve springs. As usual boys, thank you for watching. If you have any more ideas for the camp dog, let us know in the comments and we'll see you guys in the next one.